We're gonna swim, bike and run. In the Kona sun, we're gonna swim, bike and run. In the Kona sun, it's Breakfast with Bob.
Poncho Man, thank you so much for bringing us back to beautiful Kona, Hawaii. My name is Bob Babbitt. This is Breakfast with Bob, the not quite Kona edition. Our next guest, a two-time Olympic gold medalist, Mr. Alistair Brownlee. Alistair, how you doing?
Hi, I'm great, thank you. I'm very well. How are you?
I am spectacular. Always a pleasure to get to chat with you. So I saw you at a big race weekend a couple of weeks ago. You did Hamburg one day, and then the next day you win a race that was perfect for you. Cold, rainy, all that. That fun to get back to racing?
Yeah, it was really fun. Obviously, with no racing since the start of the year, I was kind of desperate to do something. And races were like buses. That's probably a British joke. You don't get it. It's like buses, you never see any for ages, and then they all come at once.
Exactly.
And it was a bit like that.
Yeah, I know. We haven't had races. I love racing, and I just hate not racing. It's been a little crazy. So you're a guy, when you went to your first Olympics in 2008, you got 12th, and obviously you learned a lot from that. You went and did your first Kona, and you got, 21st, and ran a 3:13 marathon, the two worst hours of your life during that marathon. What did you take away from that experience last year?
Yeah, well, it was actually really my first kind of proper Ironman as such. So, I've only done one with a cancelled swim before in cold and rainy weather. A lot of me didn't quite know what to expect. So I thought I'd prepared as well as I possibly could. I'd prepared for the distance and fitness and tried to do as much as I could in terms of, nailing a nutrition strategy and like pacing and keeping all that under control. But like we've seen this year, there's no substitute for racing it, and that experience of racing on the course over the distance in that kind of race, the tactics and everything else. So I think, I took quite a lot away from it in terms of, obviously the challenges of the race and preparing for it. And hopefully I could go back and compete a lot better next time. I think when I raced a few months after that in Australia, if I'd had that performance in Kona, I would have been much happier.
Exactly, but there's always a little bit of a learning process. In this, for 2021, with the Olympics being bumped back, you'll try to double in Olympics and Kona?
I hope to, yeah. I still would love to be at the Olympic Games. Obviously, it's getting a year harder and a year older, but I'd love to be there still. Obviously, the challenges of qualification, and that's possibly even more challenging now, not knowing what it's going to be like with COVID going into next year. We don't want to be talking. Let's be optimistic and hope that loads of races on, but who knows? I'm really lucky that I've basically qualified for Kona next year in 2021 already, so that's great. I'll be there whatever, if the race is on, obviously. No, it'll definitely be on. And so I'll hopefully be at both races.
How do you balance both of those? Would be the type of thing where you'll focus on WTS races? I mean, we're all assuming that there's going to be racing. Focus on the WTS and whatever the qualifying process is, and then when the Olympics are over, then get into more of the long distance. Does that give you enough time?
Yeah, I think so. I think, between now and the qualification, my focus is going to be 100% on basically short distance racing. And I've got a few sprint distance races coming up, hopefully in the ITU format. And that's going to be good. So I'm looking forward to getting stuck into that and, hopefully just getting a bit better every race. And then I think, kind of 90% of the endurance training is effectively very, very similar. And you've got more than a couple of months, 2.5 months there really between kind of the Olympics and Kona. And I'm hoping that's enough time just to put what I need in place to be fully fit to race in Kona.
So how has the COVID affected in terms of your charity? I know a lot of the charities have been hit pretty hard. For us, we had to, cancel our bike ride and run, and everybody's doing virtual events. What have you guys been up to try to make up for that lost revenue?
Well, yeah, firstly, the real shame of it is not being able to put on the events that we'd normally put on for the young kids of Britain, mostly Yorkshire. So that's kind of 15,000 young people this year that wouldn't have been able to do, that haven't done a triathlon, who would have otherwise done it with us. And obviously there's many more impact of Kona, but Corona, but yeah, that's been a big one and a shame. And then, yeah, bringing in the revenue has been really difficult, not being able to run events, not being able to run fundraisers, obviously commercial pressures from other partners. So that's been really tough. We've done a few things to try and keep people engaged. So I ran a competition for local school children to paint a picture that was going to go on the wall of my endless pool that I've got in the garage. And yeah, a local lad won that, and there's now a very bright and colourful picture on my wall of next to the pool. Every time I breathe left, I see it, so that's really good. And yeah, at the moment we've actually got a campaign on at the moment that is there's a number of cafes, I think 15 different cafes in Yorkshire that Johnny and I kind of cycle to and stop at all the time for a cup of tea and cake. And you can go around them and take a picture next to the teapot, donate some money to the foundation, and with our partner Yorkshire Tea you get some free goodies as well.
I still have my Yorkshire Tea. I went through the whole box, but I keep the box.
Really?
Oh yeah, that was
at least you
like
drunk
one of the
it.
best gifts I ever got. I love it.
That's the important thing, you actually drunk it.
Absolutely. Hey, so for you and Johnny, how important was it for you to start a charity? Because I'm always intrigued by, our sport can be fairly selfish. You go swim, bike, run, and do your weights and do your flexibility. But sometimes when you add that charity component, it actually makes the sport more important and makes it easier to get out the door. Is that one of the reasons you guys started the charity?
Yeah, I don't necessarily think to motivate us at the time. At the time, it was just after the 2012 Olympics, and we realised that we're in a very privileged position to be able to inspire and encourage lots of kids to do sport. And we were getting asked to be in that position, you know, literally visit every school probably in Yorkshire, if not England, most of the time. So it was very much a decision of, right, we're in this position, how can we make the most of it and kind of fulfill that, I guess, that obligation and do the right thing. And that's where the charity started. I think as we've done it, both of us have found it probably inspiring, much more inspiring than we realized. And you know, it's just cool. It's amazing to go to an event and see 1,000 young people turn up and do triathlon for the first time, and you know that some of the school friends cheer on their friends to cross the line, and you know, see some of these kids get a medal, maybe the first medal they've ever got, and feel like they've achieved something. That's brilliant. And so yeah, I think both of us have definitely found going to the events especially, it's hard work but inspiring as well.
So when you see some of these kids, have there been a couple of kids who you've seen really get into it, and you're watching them going from not knowing anything about swim, bike, run, and now they're really into it and they're showing some talent?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, there's most of the people who do it only do it once because of how the school years work.
Right.
But we've tried quite hard actually to provide follow-on opportunities, whether that's us directly, like putting on a duathlon session at a local track, or by signposting to local swimming or cycling clubs. So, you know, out of the 1,000 young people that do it, if, I don't know, 50 of them want to go to the swimming club, that, you know, you can signpost it that way and, you know, try and encourage it like that. But especially in one of the early days when people could come year after year, there was a young lad that came up to me, and he's wearing a triathlon club vest. And he said, "Oh, I did my first ever event at your foundation event last year, and I told my mum and dad that I wanted to join a club, and went away and joined the local club, and I've come back this year." So and there's quite a few stories like that. So that's obviously the best part.
So when I look at great rivalries in our sport, obviously, you know, Dave Scott and Mark Allen from Ironman, but you and Javi Gomez, how many times do you think you guys have raced each other over the years?
I've got no idea, but it's going to be, yeah, maybe not quite 100, but going on 100, I guess.
Yeah, close to 100. When you know every weekend you're going to the start line and you sort of know who you're going to be going head to head with in later parts of the run, can you be friends? Can you guys hang out together? Or is it one of those things where you know what? When our careers are done, we'll have a beer or two. But up until then, we really can't.
Maybe, yeah, somewhere in the middle, I guess. Yeah, I don't think we describe each other as friends, but I think we both have a lot of respect for each other, and we have spent quite a lot of time racing on the same teams in France and stuff, and so spent a fair bit of time together over the years. And maybe when we're both finished, it would be nice to have that beer and sit down and chat about it.
So we've seen Jan Frodeno going from winning his gold in 2008 and then really building a totally new career as an Ironman, three-time Ironman world champion. And so for you, you're still a young guy. When the Olympics are done this year, you're 32, 33 years old, you're still young. The Ironman, do you see yourself being in that for a number of years?
Yeah, I definitely hope so. Not only in terms of the long distance and Ironman is something that a challenge I really want to conquer and win that race, obviously.
Yep.
But also I've been involved in endurance sport since I was 8 years old, so I'm going to be doing something. So it's going to be Ironman or something else. So yeah, I can see myself still racing for quite a few years to come.
It's funny because someone like a Mark Allen, when he won his last Ironman in '95, he dropped the mic, never did another race. Then there's other guys who, racing as age groupers, and you seem to me like one of those guys that this sport is in your blood, that you'll be doing something, swim, bike, run for the rest of your life.
Yeah, definitely. I think one of the nice things actually of, it's the best job in the world being a professional triathlete, and I wake up most days and remind myself how lucky I am. But one of the things that I definitely do miss out on is being able to do all kinds of other sporting events that I'd love to be able to, like extreme long distance triathlons, more mountain running and cycling events, basically everything and anything. So I'm really looking forward to doing those kind of things as I get near retirement.
So when you look back at your career, what do you look at as maybe the toughest moment you had to deal with?
The toughest, it's hard. I think the toughest in terms of in a race, and obviously I've gone very deep in a few races. Probably mostly racing Javier when we were racing a lot to try and win, IT races, and there is nothing quite like pushing yourself as hard as you can over a 5 or 10K to try and win those races, and knowing you've got a minute left and you just got to throw everything at it. There's the toughest moments in, I guess, outside racing, more kind of in life, and that's always been for me, has been injury, just being in a rut of one injury after another, and just struggling to train and do what you love every day, and just getting a bit sick of it. So that's definitely been the toughest moment outside sport. But yeah, I think being an endurance athlete, you've got some kind of tough moment every day, I think.
What is it about you that's helped to make you a champion? What is it inside of you that allows you to come back from surgeries and come back from disappointments, and then not look at those disappointments as motivation to get to the next level?
I think to an extent it just has to be like inside you. I tell this anecdote quite a lot, but obviously the London Olympic Games, I'd known about that for 7 years and built up to it, probably thought of it most of those days, had a massive build up to it, and thankfully, raced and it went well, and afterwards kind of spent a week enjoying myself, and it was a pretty busy week in terms of all kinds of social activities, but also being busy and whatever. And then probably not even 10 days afterwards, I went back to the training session, and the normal, whatever it was, Tuesday or Wednesday morning session, dived into the pool. And, I was kind of worried. I was like thinking, well, maybe I won't want to push myself anymore or do it anymore, or, I've achieved everything I wanted to achieve for most of my life. And I got in that pool, did a warm up, and then it was like, go to start the main set. Someone pushes off next to me. I'm racing them. And I think it's just that. It's just at the end of the day, it's just who I am. I enjoy racing. I enjoy being competitive. I really enjoy pushing myself, and I enjoy getting kind of to the end of the day knowing that I've trained as well as I can that day, I think.
Was there one race where you learned something special about yourself, that you're racing and maybe you surprised yourself and realized that maybe there's more here than I thought there was?
Yeah, I've surprised myself constantly. Early in my career, racing better than I thought I was capable of when I've been injured and not trained, still finding ways to win races when I definitely wasn't the fittest or fastest in that race. And in various other times when, I've just kind of not really felt like it, and I've had just been having a terrible day and just thought, right, literally get around the next lap of the bike, or just get here on the bike, or and managed to do okay. And I think actually kind of more long distance racing is more and more like that. It's just, you're not going to feel great for a whole race. You've just got to tell yourself, get through this bit and then get through the next bit. And so I think that bodes quite well.
I remember one of the top Ironman back in the days, this guy Scott Molina, telling me that, when he was racing the short distance races, there were times where he was called the Terminator. So similar to you, he won pretty much every race. So there were days that he should not have won. There were days where guys would come up next to him, but because he was Scott Molina, they would back off. They would sort of already be thinking they were going to win, so they shouldn't be up with Scott Molina. Did you have races like that where there were days that, I don't know how I won that one, those guys should have beat me today, but I think I might have beat him on reputation?
Yeah, I've had lots of races where I don't think I should have won, and don't think I should have done as well as I can. And whether it was reputation or just preparing to fight and hurt more than the person next to me, I don't know. But I have surprised myself a lot of times like that.
Do you see Johnny moving up into 70.3 in full down the line?
I think Johnny will. I think he already would have if the Olympics had been on, and I think he will next year, I think, after the Olympics.
So do you think he might be on the starting line for 2021, or would that be after that for Kona?
Yeah, I think it'll be after that. I think his focus will be fully on the Olympic Games now for the next, whatever it is, 11 months. And I think he'll start looking into doing more long distance after that.
Is there a rivalry there between you and Johnny? I mean, does he want to take you down in Tokyo?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, there's always a rivalry between me and Johnny, and there always will be. So yeah, I think even when we're like old men racing around the park, we'll be trying to beat each other. So I think he definitely wants to try and beat me at every distance of triathlon he can.
So I was just looking at the results from that Helvellyn try, and I can just imagine a guy like you who hasn't really, besides the Hamburg race, raced in a year, being out there. It's cold, it's wet, and I just envision you with a big smile on your face the whole day, just being able to race again, but in those brutal, you like the harder conditions. Seems like the harder conditions there are, the better it is for Alistair Brownlee.
Yeah, I mean, that race is fantastic. It's in northern England. It's not that far from where I live. The kind of roads and trails I know quite well. And it being crap weather, I definitely should have enjoyed it. I must admit, as it happened, I think I'd had about 4 hours sleep and I was a bit tired. I didn't really feel like it that much. So I dived in the water. It was really cold. And then I got out on the bike. It was like wet. And, when you're just having one of those, I couldn't get my feet in my shoes, and I was just feeling a bit sorry for myself, really. So I didn't enjoy the bike that much. But then when I got running, it was really cool. There was actually loads of quite a lot of people there watching, crowds on the side of the mountain cheering you on, and there was just a really great atmosphere. So yeah, I really enjoyed it.
What would it mean to you to win Kona, to win the Ironman World Championship, and have two-time gold medalist and then Ironman World Champion?
A lot, obviously. I've known about Kona since I think I was 8 or 9 years old. So, and obviously as well as the Olympics, and that was a massive goal, and managed to achieve that. And now, Kona's that goal. So yeah, it'd mean a lot to me.
I love it. Alistair, as always, love what you do. Love what you and your brother are doing with your charity. if people want to help out the charity, making donations, where can they go?
Yeah, you can find out where to donate on the Brownlee Foundation website and all the different social media channels. So yeah, please check it out and feel free to donate.
I love it. Alistair, thank you so much for taking time. We miss seeing you in Kona, but next year, the same backdrop. We'll be chatting there at Huggos.
Great. Thank you.
All right. Alistair Brownlee has been our guest, everybody. Breakfast with Bob. Not quite Kona edition. Hold on. We'll be right back.